From County College of Morris, this is CCM All Access.
Hello, and welcome to CCM All Access, the program that brings you news and information from the County College of Morris. Students on campus, members of the community, people doing good things. I'm Mitchell Etta.
And I'm James Taylor.
And we are very pleased to have the president of County College of Morris as our guest, Dr. Anthony Iacono. Welcome. I understand that you are wrapping up your 7th year as president of CCM. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels great, and it feels like it went very fast also. Some days it seems like I got here many years before that, and other times it seems like it was a blink and 7 years went very quickly.
What do you remember about how the college was when you arrived?
Great things, really. When I came out for my first tour and so forth, I was extremely impressed. The campus is absolutely beautiful. I remember asking if we had a couple hundred people who maintain it. We actually have a fairly small crew, but they're extremely talented and really good, and the buildings are beautiful and so forth. And my original thought was, this is a tremendous school that we have a lot of opportunity to build on the past successes and so forth. So extremely favorable first impressions.
Okay. So you had a good first impression of the place?
Oh, absolutely, overwhelming. And it's funny too, when I talk to people who come out to the campus, one of the first things they remark on is it's beautiful out here. Mm-hmm. You know, and especially this time of year, the cherry blossoms are in full bloom right now and colorful, and all the other colors are coming back across the campus too. So I think we do an absolutely gorgeous campus, and the nicety is with the 4 seasons, it looks different every 3 or 4 months, so it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Do you feel a lot has changed within these past 7 years?
Yeah, I think we've made some huge changes, and again, it's really a testament to my predecessors, both of the previous presidents, faculty that go all the way back to our first year we were open, good boards of trustees and a strong foundation, and really dedicated staff, and best of all, a community that really supports this college and lets us do the work that we were created to do, basically. But you know, building on that success, there have been a lot of big changes that let us honor our mission even more completely in a contemporary way. You know, our communities have changed a lot since 1968, and every time those changes are occurring, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're supporting those. Today's students are very different than yesterday's students. How you like to learn, what you want to learn, and so forth is radically different than it would have been 50+ years ago. Mm-hmm. And so keeping up with all that, which in some cases means a lot of really incredible technology. In some cases it means just different ways that we approach teaching and learning at the college as well.
Yeah. Like you said, how learning has changed over those years. During the early years of your presidency, you launched the virtual campus.
We did.
Was that always a goal of yours, or?
Yeah, actually I talked about it in my interview as well. We had long offered classes online, but we didn't really have a fully established virtual campus. And the difference basically is we offer things online that is a big convenience factor, but we weren't putting entire programs online. The shift of focus was, let's put entire programs online, and then we're able to reach an audience that we're not currently able to reach. So for individuals who just like taking some of their classes online, we can keep doing that within the structure of an actual program. Because most of our students come out, they're looking to earn a degree, right? Not just to take a random class here and there. Sometimes we have that for enrichment purposes, but mostly they're students like you that want to earn a degree, then they want to transfer into a senior institution, complete that baccalaureate degree, and then enter the career world or continue their education. So we weren't really able to do that as well as we're able to today. By putting whole programs online, it gave us that opportunity. It also let us market them differently and really reach a broader audience. And then of course the technology has changed profoundly. We standardized things so that students didn't have to, you know, if you're taking 5 classes online and they're all completely different, that's kind of frustrating. It's like a TV at home where, you know, it's a TV, they have the same shows, but every one of them operates completely different. So now you got to figure out, well, how does this TV work? How does this TV work? Mm-hmm. Nobody really wants to do that, right? So they're standardized now in a lot of ways. I think they still reflect the individuality of the professors who are teaching, and they do take on a life of their own based on who's enrolled in the course and so forth. They definitely reflect that kind of personality, but a little bit easier to work with, more program-based, and it's been wildly successful. We're now serving students in all but 2 counties in New Jersey, and we're serving students in 9 states. So it has taken off really well. And then, you know, in a really odd way, the pandemic fostered the growth of it, because for individuals who might have thought, I can never learn that way, quickly discovered not only can I, but I kind of like it. And individuals who may have thought, I don't think learning can happen that well, that way discovered, wow, there's a lot of really exciting things that we can do. So we're really proud, and we will always have in our future those live traditional classes. Everybody likes to learn differently, and some subjects work better in different environments also, but we're able to do that. And that also means for us, one of the really big focuses a few years ago was, are we really reaching all of the students that we need to? The economy's been shifting dramatically, so the bulk of our students are that traditional 18 to 22-year-old demographic, but we have a sizable number and a rapidly growing number of career changers, people who are in their 30s to 55-year-old range saying, I've always wanted to do this and I want to go back to school, but I'm working and I've got a family to care for, so maybe coming out for 4 or 5 live classes a week isn't possible, but I can come out for a couple and take the others online, gives me a little more flexibility, or I'm taking them all online because I need that level of flexibility, or I just prefer learning that way. So we're able to offer more to a broader audience.
What were some of your earliest goals as president?
So the big goal is really we're making sure, first of all, the quality of education was always remarkably strong. So we wanted to make sure we built on that, we nurtured that, we stayed contemporary and relevant in that, but because that was so good, we were able to look and do some other things. Were we being responsive to the community as a whole, particularly the business community? As a community college, you have to serve the whole community, right? And going out in the first 6 months, just listening to the community, the business and industry portion of our community didn't feel we were doing as good of a job as we could be doing for them. They wanted to see a lot more support because those businesses and industries were changing rapidly. We committed to that. We said we will do that, but we need you to do it with us. We don't want to guess what do you need. We want you to help design the curriculum. We want you to talk to us about what do you want to see our students exiting with in terms of hard skills? What can they come out doing and so forth? And they've honored their commitment extraordinarily. So we really focused intensively on the technology industry with emphasis in a number of areas, cybersecurity being one of those that we've continuously scaled up. That existed pre-me. In fact, we're the first community college that held the Department of Homeland Security's NSA endorsement for a cybersecurity program. I think there's 2 in the state now. We're still one of them. But we've scaled that up exponentially, and then we have gaming programs and so forth that have come into our already strong technology program. We also put a lot of emphasis on expanding our healthcare programs. So one of the big signature programs that has been rolled out in more recent years was Atlantic Health, and then we've become known not only in the state but around the nation for our manufacturing programs. New Jersey has over 7,000 manufacturers. 700 are right here in this corner, and they need everything from full-blown engineers to individuals who are machinists and all the other professions that surround that. So they were adamant, we really need to see you doing a lot more, we'll work with you, and they have exceeded their commitment to us by far. And some of that evidence is a new manufacturing building that sits at the top of the hill, funded by the state of New Jersey and the county of Morris. Our county commissioners were extremely supportive of that, both funded the building. And then the building is largely equipped by manufacturers who rolled, I think, roughly $1 million of equipment, technology, machinery, and provided scholarships to the students as well. Now we're getting ready to break ground on a number of new buildings as well, one of which is a Center for Entrepreneurship, and that's built in partnership with the Morris County Chamber of Commerce. We'll also see in there a substantial expansion of our culinary science program, so we can support area restaurants and so forth, and students who want careers in hospitality. We've got a partnership building coming on with the Morris County Vocational School District, which will bring 500 to 600 high school students on campus who want an early start at college, and they'll focus on a whole ton of different careers with us as well. So it may be healthcare, maybe technology, engineering, criminal justice. They'll be focusing on all those areas, and then a few other things in the works. So, are we really meeting all of our needs to serve the entire community? The other piece too is going even bigger when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We want to make sure everybody knows they're wanted at this college. We want to make sure everyone knows they have an opportunity to be successful at this college and then to go on and fulfill their dreams just like everyone else. So we've really reached out particularly to underrepresented populations. So they may be our low-income students that nobody's talking to about going to college. They may be ethnically, racially diverse. We make a lot more efforts these days. A lot of gratitude to our faculty for launching programs like Women in STEM, but also at the same time trying to get more men into our nursing programs, right? More women into manufacturing programs, helping everybody understand all these professions are are craving diversity. They want really high-skilled, well-educated, talented people across the board. So we've been able to cultivate a lot more opportunity, and with that comes the support of our foundation, which raises money to make sure no one is denied the opportunity of a great education for financial reasons, which was our other prong. We have found an awful lot of donors out there who believe in our students, they believe in our college, and we're able to provide dramatically more financial aid than ever before.
And that's the beauty of CCM. It's not as expensive to attend classes.
Right.
These other four-year schools, people just think, let's go right to these four-year schools and start off here. CCM is a great option because you start off with your 2 years, you get your prereqs out of the way, and that way you could take that knowledge, go over to your four-year school,
right,
for a cheaper price.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the reasons I picked a community college. I'm a community college graduate myself, and you know, oftentimes people say to me in the community, I think community colleges are great for people who don't know what they want to do. Like, well, some of our students fall into that, but most people at the age of 18 don't know exactly what they want to be doing for the next 40 or 50 years of their life, and that's a very normal scenario. But our students have a whole wide range of reasons for being here. Some, I'm not sure what I want to do, so that's a really great way for me to start and explore. Some know exactly what they want to do. Some are ultra high achieving, they've even been their class valedictorian. Some need some additional support in academics, right? So we see a whole myriad. Some maybe didn't really think a lot about going to college when they graduated high school, but 4 years later they're starting to realize, you know what I'm really excited about, and I want to do that, and that can happen for me at County College of Morris. But all of them realize this, the education's an investment, and you get a really high quality education at a really good price point that allows you to go on without debt. So in our 50+ years of educating people, what we see is our alumni they're medical doctors, they're dentists, they are engineers, they're technicians, they work throughout the technology industry, they are at the top of the banking world, they work in the arts, they're sociologists and psychologists, and so basically what we're saying is they go into any field they want to with tremendous success. And in fact, there was a good study that was put out by the state of New Jersey saying students who graduate from a community college have higher baccalaureate graduation rates than native university students. And I think that speaks certainly to the quality of CCM and the quality of community colleges across our state as well. So you made a great choice, you made a tremendous choice.
So I know you touched base on shortly, earlier you said about demand in the manufacturing industry. So during your presidency, you opened the Advanced Manufacturing and Engineering Center.
Right.
How did that come about? Did you see that demand and then
Yeah.
did that, or was that already part of the
It's
plan?
kind of a funny story. We were hearing a lot of demand, right, because there are such shortages throughout the manufacturing world, and then I think we all got to see it much more closely when the pandemic hit, that the United States had outsourced so much manufacturing when there were basic things we needed at home. You know, the manufacturers had to make some fast adjustments, right? And our manufacturing companies are absolutely remarkable. The work they do is just extraordinary and really, really inspiring, but they need more people. And they have long worked with us to produce more engineers. They're very good about providing scholarships, internships, but they also need individuals who are not necessarily engineers. They need people who can run all the machinery, who can make things as well. So, so we knew about that. They were in our ear. But I also had a really talented engineering professor who had said, you know, we need a lot more space in here. We're pretty cramped. Manufacturers have been donating equipment, which is large, and we were running out of space there, and we wanted to make sure we maintain a very safe environment. This is huge equipment, and if not handled properly, could lead to serious injuries and so forth as well. But the part I would say is the funny part of the story. He had said, we need a larger door. It's hard to get this machinery through. So we got a building. He said, I only wanted the door. I said, well, it came with new doors. They're great big doors as well. But what we were really angling for was to not simply have a building that would support Morris County, and it has really been adopted as a building that trains people to work throughout all of Northwest New Jersey. So I think we're quickly moving from being a community college and a very highly regarded across the nation community college to one that serves the entire region. And of course we partner with other community colleges in a variety of different ways as well. Now the nicety of it is New Jersey's community college system a couple of years ago launched what's called NJ Pathways, which allows the 18 community colleges to share curriculum, do a lot of training, partner to move very quickly, so when industry needs something, we can all provide it. And that has allowed the economy, I think, to to move in better ways than it would have been able to previous to that. So we've been on the front end of it. Another program, it's a good example, it was launched by one of our math professors, Kelly Fitzpatrick, is our data science program, right? There's not a building, wasn't necessary for that one, but data science is a really hot career field, and it's embedded in almost every kind of career. So because of her imagination and her hard work, she developed and launched a data science program, and through that NJ Pathways program, we are designated as the state center for data science and one of the centers for manufacturing. Yeah, and it's working well. For 5 years in a row, our school has been ranked #1 for alumni salaries in the state. I think we're somewhere around number 19 in the nation. So our students do extremely well when they leave us, whether it's with a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. The ROI is absolutely tremendous for our students.
And that's number 19 in the nation. Is that just compared to other county colleges, or is
Other
that
community colleges? Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now we are going to take a break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Choosing a college is a big, big, big deal. But I know I started right, because CCM is in the top 2% of community colleges in the nation. And at County College of Morris, I get to choose from over 100 programs. Whether you're just out of high school,
like me,
exploring career options,
Like me.
or seeking lifelong learning,
Like me.
make CCM your choice. Like me. Go big and visit ccm.edu and aspire to be you.
Welcome back to CCM All Access. I'm James Taylor,
And I'm Mitchell Etta.
and we're here with President of CCM, Dr. Anthony Iacono. So before we went on our break, we were talking about the Advanced Manufacturing and Engineering Center, how that came about. Besides needing bigger doors, were there any other challenges or setbacks that came with that?
You know, the pandemic itself offered a sort of setback. Here we were very excited. We went from 11,000 square feet for that program to 33,000 square feet, tripled it, right? And we were excited about the large numbers and the things that we could do that we previously could not do in that facility. And then along comes the pandemic. So we had to learn to operate very, very differently. Fortunately, like healthcare programs, Governor Murphy deemed manufacturing to be an essential industry, which meant not only the manufacturing industry, but schools could continue running those programs as well. So as we all know, when the pandemic hit, most businesses were closed down, nearly all I think, and schools were by and large closed down as well, but a few programs were allowed to run, and that was one of them. So for us, there were challenges we didn't anticipate. How do you do a grand opening during a pandemic, right? It was virtual is what we had to do. How do you market it to students in a world where no one can leave their home? That was different as well, and then to get them enrolled. And what we wound up doing is, instead of that traditional, 15, 20 students per class, we wound up doing a lot of micro classes. Because the programs that we were doing in there, especially on the workforce side, were relatively new. The numbers weren't huge. Those were building years and so forth. If we had to do it now, I'm not sure how we would handle that, but we'd figure it out basically. So a lot of creativity and a lot of just realizing what the challenges are and figuring out how to overcome those challenges to make it happen.
So you mentioned the pandemic a couple times in the previous section. So let me ask you, you were the president when the coronavirus pandemic forced us to switch to remote learning. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, it was interesting. We actually closed down a couple of days before the state, and we were watching, what is this? How is it contracted? It seems to be moving very, very rapidly, looks very severe, and ultimately we just decided, I'm not sure what the state's going to do, but I'm not comfortable as the president putting anybody in harm's way since we don't know enough about it. And the information we had in the world at that time was pretty skimpy, maybe not even the most accurate compared to what we would learn and be able to work with a few short months later. So I made the decision and said we're closing down, and we had to make some very quick decisions after that. Number one was making sure everybody had what they needed to work remotely. Now the original belief was we would close for about 2 weeks, do a really deep cleaning, because at the time that was the whole deal. Lives on the surfaces, you got to keep everything really clean.
2 weeks.
Yeah, right, 2 weeks, right? That was the longest 2 weeks, and I assure you, the deepest cleaning we ever did in our lives here. But for the safety of everybody, we did that, and then we pushed out an extraordinary amount of software so that classes could continue as they were. Fortunately, the world is tech-based, so you're able to do your purchases online and buy all those licenses students needed to continue doing their classes. And then we quickly set up basically an old school distribution system because some of our faculty needed hard equipment. So we told our employees, you've got to tell us quickly, what do you need? And then we worked out a distribution system. In one case, one of our art faculty members needed a potter's wheel, and he was going to be broadcasting from his home and providing instruction to his students. We all became super fluent in Zoom and Microsoft Teams, things that some people never knew existed, never had used before, but wow, everybody became very proficient. So it might be a potter's wheel in some case. Some individuals needed furniture at their house so that they could, teach and so forth. So it just depends, who was teaching what did they need? And it was our library that handled the distribution. It was one of those figure it out, well, what do libraries do, right? They help you get the resources you need, they help distribute it, you take it out, and then you check it back in. So they actually were the hub of where all of that happened to, no matter what the equipment was. Exercise equipment, art equipment, music equipment, whatever it might be. And again, fortunately, the governor gave us that special dispensation because you can't send home medical equipment or manufacturing equipment.
Yeah.
So those continued here.
Did you have any compromises that you had to make during this time, during when coronavirus was coming through?
Well, I think there were a lot of compromises, but maybe not in the way we think of them. I think our faculty did an unbelievably great job because they had to really reconsider, how do we teach this course? Designing courses is much more difficult than people believe. Delivering that course it can be very, very difficult as well. But when courses are designed, they're designed with a certain delivery model in mind. And nobody knew this pandemic was coming, and boom, they had to refigure out, how am I going to deliver all this content? How will I teach it in a way that is useful to the students, accessible, interesting? How do I make it interactive? So they really had to rethink all of that in real time, plus learn how to use the new technologies that most of us had never used before, or not very extensively, frankly. Mm-hmm. And they did an amazing job. Our office staff had to do the same thing. How do you run offices, all the business practices and so forth, remotely? Because a lot of what we do requires working with people side by side all day long. Nobody's side by side. And so using the technology, learning quickly, becoming very creative, allowed us to get through each day and get better and better and better at it, frankly.
Would you say everyone adapted well to this change in technology?
Yeah, I think people did an absolutely remarkable job, and some more easily than others. Some individuals are just more tech inclined or had been doing a lot more in the virtual campus. Some people in their office spaces were doing a lot of work where they were independent already. So it really depended upon your background, your experiences, but people were exceedingly generous in supporting one another and helping one another as well. So it did work. Education is built for a couple big things, no matter what you're studying, right? By the time you exit, among other things, every student should leave with the ability to think creatively, think critically, and communicate effectively. And I think to a person around the college, they all demonstrated they had mastered that long, long ago. They're good critical thinkers, creative thinkers, good communicators, and as it turns out, even better collaborators than we knew we could be. So. At the center of our thought was you. It was the students. Are we making the right choices for our students? Are we doing the right things for our students? What are they going to need and so forth? And that goes right down to our student government. They were running online too. Many of our clubs figured out how to keep that level of engagement moving. And I think we all, within a small amount of time, are craving just some human connectivity, right?
Yep.
And so when we say everybody, that means everybody. The students were a big part of moving this college forward too.
So moving on from the inevitable pandemic questions,
right.
Professors grade their students, as we all know. Mm-hmm. So as the president, how would you grade CCM today?
Oh, I think it's, and opinions aside, here's the facts. We now have the highest graduation rate in New Jersey. We have the highest alumni salaries in New Jersey. We have been ranked #1 for 2 years in a row for student retention. So, we listen to our students, we pay attention to the big metrics, we watch our reports, and we use that to guide us so that we're always in a state of continuous improvement. I think it's an exceptional school, and I think by and large, year after year after year, for 50 plus years, students rate us very, very highly. And the proof's kind of in the pudding, right? That they are able to go on and do the things that they dreamed of doing. And that works out really, really well. I'm proud of the work that we do here, and at the core of that, we're really proud of our students. What's exciting, particularly, the only downside of a community college, I'll always say, is we only get you for a couple of years, right? And but the upshot is a lot of our students stay in touch with us, and it's really exciting to watch you grow and to see what your success is, and to know that we had a little something to do with that, a small part of it. is awesome. We just had our open house, and lots of individuals who graduated here 20, 30 years ago are here with their kids, and their kids are enrolling now. So it feels really good. Yeah.
So a little bit off topic from what we've been talking about.
Sure.
We did a little bit of background work on you, and we see you play the guitar. How did you gain a musical interest?
Yeah. I think I was probably in elementary school, and my dad gave me a guitar, and I like music a lot, so that was a kind of a fun thing, and other kids were playing guitar at the time. So I learned to do that, and by junior high I was playing in some garage bands and so forth, and by high school I was in the school jazz band playing guitar, and then teaching guitar at a music store in the afternoon, playing in a lot of bands, which was really cool. You get invited to everybody's party when you play in a band, and you make a lot of friends. So and you make a lot of money also as a high school kid. You're playing proms and dances and 16 birthday parties and all kinds of neat stuff. So it was just a lot of fun. And then when it was time to graduate high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and frankly I wasn't sure that I even wanted to go to college. And so it was my band director who said, you're going, I've set up an audition for you at the local community college. They need someone who can play guitar and bass guitar in their jazz band. I said, I'm not sure if I really want to do that. And he was a really imposing guy, a tremendously nice, good person who said, well, I already made the appointment, and it's going to be a problem if you don't show up, so I recommend you go. So I went, and they offered me a scholarship, and I went my first year of college on a music scholarship. And it was a lot of fun, but in those years, what I really discovered I loved was the humanities and academia. And so I didn't renew my scholarship for the second year. I majored in history, and I stayed there and ultimately earned my PhD in it and so forth. But what I discovered at my community college is how much I loved learning and all these different ideas, and really, really amazing professors and students that I had not known before. They came from all different high schools like they do at our school here, and that just kind of took off. And I still play today.
Wow. So it's a little bit different being a president from being the guitar player at a band, but do you see anything that you learned from maybe playing in a band during high school or college that you could still use today in your presidency? Yeah,
unquestionably, and you do every day. I think that student athletes, I think that the students who are in the arts programs, we're having to work with others, and many other examples too. Those are just two easy ones. Is you learn a lot about self-accountability. You learn about accountability to others, because if you haven't done your work, if you're not ready to play your part, it's pretty noticeable immediately, right? But it's also, even more importantly, it's going to have a negative impact on others. You can't do that to people. You got to be responsible for yourself and responsible to others. It's about discipline, because sometimes you don't want to do your homework. Sometimes you don't want to write the paper. Sometimes you don't want to practice your instrument. But the only way to get good at any of these things is you have to do it a lot. And life is like that. If you want to get good at no matter what it is you're doing, you've got to do it a lot. And you have to realize it's not just impacting you, it's going to impact a lot of people. So you've got to go do the very best you can. And you got to have an open mind to learning at all times. And you have to be willing to also recognize it's not always going to go well. Sometimes you practice and you're really good, and you go to play a show and you flub up the notes. Everything doesn't always work. And what are you going to do then? But life is like that, right? You're going to learn a lot. You have a great education. You're going to be very good at what you do. But sometimes things aren't going to go right, and you're going to have to figure out, what are you going to do? You have to get comfortable with that too. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in academia is it can be a matter of mindset, right? Hopefully one of the things you learn as you're studying is there really is no such thing as failure. What did you learn when it didn't go well? And how can you apply that to become even better at what you do? As I think Edison, who said success is 90%, 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. He was the model. And if you ever look at Edison's work, he recorded his failures by the hundreds and thousands before he was able to succeed in whatever it was he was trying to do. Life is like that. You have to get a little bit comfortable. You've got to be willing to work hard. You've got to be willing to learn, but you also have to be willing to learn from failure, or how you think about it. And you got to remember, you are responsible not only for yourself, but others too. So giving back is critically important.
And that comes with anything, whether it's instruments or schooling.
Absolutely, absolutely, unquestionably. You're both business majors, right? Okay. And at some point, you're more than likely going to be running either your business or somebody else's. You're going to be sitting around the table. You're going to be responsible for a lot of people, and the decisions you make are going to be weighty. Hopefully, more times than not, you made the right decision. Things go well. You won't always have all the information you need, so every once in a while, it's a little bit of a leap of faith. But sometimes it won't go well. It may not even be your fault it doesn't go well, but it is your responsibility to deal with it as well. So you acknowledge it, you take responsibility, and you move forward from there.
We also understand that you are a native of Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
Is Morris County similar or different from where you grew up?
Yeah, so it has some similarities. It's fun. I lived in Connecticut till I was in my early teens. I grew up outside of Hartford, which is a really neat community. It's not nearly as affluent as Morris County. It's a nice community. And then I moved to Florida. My parents decided they had enough winter, and so they went to where there's almost no chance of getting snow. And I grew up in a town called Vero Beach, Florida, which was really, really nice area and so forth. And moved around a little bit for college and grad school and so forth. So it's a little bit like Connecticut, and very different at the same time. A little bit like, Morris County has amazing restaurants all over the place, like Connecticut did, not so much in Florida. It's it's got the four seasons just like it, and I particularly really like cold weather and a lot of snow. So people are always like, "What were you doing in Florida?" I was like, "Well, I didn't choose it," but it is a great state. I absolutely love Florida. Wonderful people, great place to live, a really fun college system to work with, and I can't say enough good about it. If they could just turn the temperature down just 2 or 3 degrees, it'd be terrific. Otherwise, all great things. And I do have family in Connecticut, so occasionally I'll take a drive over there and visit with them also. New Jersey is very much its own place because Connecticut's New England, Florida's a southern state, New Jersey's a middle Atlantic state, so it's a little bit different. It's got some subtleties in its own way, but New Jersey's a fabulous state. For such a tiny state, there's a million things to do here. And it's interesting too, when you're in our part, which is hilly, little mountains, a lot of forest and farms and so forth, which I think is stunning, by the way, and it's an amazing place to live. But just an hour and a half, 2-hour drive over to the shore, it looks completely different altogether. And then of course we're lucky. We're sitting right outside of what I think is the greatest city in the world. So I don't know how you could get bored with all the things there are to do in New Jersey, but a very short drive you're in New York City, and with almost no effort at all, you can be watching a Mets game or a Yankees game. You can go see a great concert, Broadway play, phenomenal museums and art galleries, and so it's pretty spectacular to say the least. Florida's a gigantic state, so to go anywhere, you almost have to fly. You could be driving all day and you're still in the same state. What's cool about it is it's like multiple ecosystems, so you may not feel like you're in the same state. It can look so different, and things themselves can be very different. But I always say there's 50 states and there's something great about every one of them. And New Jersey's just, I think, a diamond, a tremendous place to live and to work, basically. And Morris County to me is far and away has got to be in an already great state. It's an amazing place. Hopefully you guys come back here to live one day also. We always joke there's a million things to do, and the restaurants they couldn't possibly be better, but it is so well run here, it's remarkable. I give our county commissioners and all of the local mayors and other officials tremendous credit. The public school system is very, very good here. So it's got like all the right stuff. Basically, medical care is tremendous here. So we're very fortunate. I think I wonder sometimes, do people take it for granted, how good it is and how much it has going for it and so forth. But people seem to love living here at the same time. So that's a real plus.
So, President, do you have any final remarks about CCM or the future of CCM as we actually wrap up our 100th episode of this show?
Well, first of all, congratulations on the 100th episode. That's tremendous. I remember when it was created, and I think you've done an absolutely amazing job and a great job getting the word out and giving people a chance to share their perspectives on things. The last thing I'd say is we're growing. We continue to grow. We grow differently, responsively, and proactively. There's a team of professors right now who are really working on augmented virtual reality in the metaverse. And so I say it's very likely our next building we open will be in the metaverse. There's some cutting edge technology and some brilliant people working on that, and a whole host of other programs that are in development. I think we're a remarkably creative institution with a great community supporting us. And in terms of our students, we serve about 5,000 credit students, about 4,000 workforce students, or thereabout. So every day we've got a lot of reasons to get out of bed and work really, really hard, and that's for you. So keep doing great things. You're the reason we do what we do. More than students may ever imagine. You inspire us and make us have a lot of fun doing what we're doing. So keep it up, and as we always ask our students, stay in touch. You know, I know your faculty, I love it, staff love it when you come back to visit after you graduate and just share a little bit about what you're doing or send an email or what have you. We're excited for you. Our best day of the year is coming up. That's commencement. And watching those students walk across the stage, getting their diplomas, knowing every one of them's got a great future, there's no better day hardly. So.
Well, President, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insight.
All
This
right.
has been another edition of CCM All Access. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.